Welcome to the HAYVN Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by HAYVN, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the HAYVN Hubcast. I'm Nancy Sheed, your host, and I am really excited today to be talking to CP Heda, who is the founder of Esstart. Welcome, CP.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much to have me here, and so excited to talk to you in this virtual room.
Exactly. I mean, we've hung out at HAYVN before, but this is we're going to really dive in. I'm very excited to hear what's going on in your business. For those of you who are not familiar or new, I'm going to Esstart is an innovative engagement platform with the mission to use technology to make events more interactive, memorable, and inclusive. I'm going to leave that right there. We're going to dive into Esstart in a second. But CP, this is not what you've been doing your whole life. I know you actually have a wonderful story of how you came to be. It involves things like moving from another country, DJing, master's degrees. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about your journey into becoming an entrepreneur and a founder?
Yes. Thank you for asking me. Prior to Esstart, I was at WWE managing a large technology portfolio, and I was servicing the events business. So the wrestlers or talents, as they call it, and the events business and e-commerce business. So I was always on the business side and on technology side. There was an itch. I was always doing something on the side. I was also a DJ and a photographer. And I did that while I was working at WWE over weekends. I got DSLR cameras had just come out, and I was getting started, and I got a DSLR camera, took good pictures. People started to say, "Can you just do it?" And I said, "Sure, if you pay me for it." And then, that's how the photography started. So somehow that journey continued, and in the journey, I went to a lot of events as a photographer, as sometimes as DJ. And one thing that I always found, which was people love to throw parties, love to create events, right? But when it comes to making sure that people are engaged in your event, it's not creating, the event itself is not creating silos of people, right? That part was very tough for individuals. And that was a problem that I would notice being a photographer, having that third person eye at the event. And that drove me to say, can I do something for this?
I love that. And so can you talk to us a little bit about, well, first of all, as a person who loves to host events and gather people, I get it. And I am always thinking about, I want every single person in the room to have a good experience or be engaged or understand why we're gathering. So I appreciate when that's missing. It has a very funny feel to it. So I appreciate how sensitive you were to that. CB, can you talk about a little more specifically about what the main product that Esstart, or the main services that Esstart started with? Because I know you've got some growth plans to talk about. What does that look like?
Yes. So I'll continue the story, right? So when you're hosting event, you're trying to find a ways to keep people engaged. So Estart's mission is to create a platform that offers many activities, games, utilities around events, so that as a host of the event, you have one place to go to and pick and choose all the activities that you want. We launched our platform with our first product, Instant Spotlight. There's a story behind Instant Spotlight. So that's our first product. What it is it is an interactive photo wall. So guests at the events can scan a QR code and take a photo, selfie with group post it and it shows up on the big display, whatever you have in the room, TV, projector, instantly. That instant showing of the photo on the big screen, it creates this wow moment. It just, it almost is disbelief. Sometimes you are like, oh my God. Oh, and the other times you are like, this happened. So it creates this moment that is absolutely, every time I'm at events and they're using Instant Spotlight, and just, that sparkle in the eye is what makes me like really happy about creating this product, Instant Spotlight. So that's our launch product.
I love it. Well, so that's Instant Spotlight. And how long has that product been in the marketplace or since you launched?
Couple of months. So last year we went through the whole building journey where we were building and making the product suitable for the market. And now recently we have made it available to the public. So you can do it yourself. With a couple of clicks, the products get set up. Everything is pre-built for you to use. And the ease of use is what we really are proud about.
Ease of use. Every event planner wants to have ease of use for sure. And in terms of your entrepreneurial journey, CP, at what point did you go all in being a founder? Like, at what point did you kind of move from having these interesting, I'm going to say side hustles, right? That where you were learning and seeing holes in the market. What was your catalyst to say, okay, I'm all in to make this? Or did Esstart start as a side hustle? I'm curious when you know.
I'll go a little bit off in the flashback. So where did the idea of Esstart came? And now I'm talking about Instant Spotlight, and I'll come to why now was the time. So for my first child's, so my wife's baby shower, I threw a big party. I had 175 people at the event, at a baby shower.
Holy moly. Holy moly.
It came to us at a late in our journey. And when things happen that way, you really want to go big. This was a milestone for us. So we had a lot of people. One of the things that we did was we wanted to create, so Instagram was, last few years has been like really hot, and people are like, my wife's question was, you're from technology and you are into events. Can't you just come up with some idea that will make it unique? And the idea of Instant Spotlight came through that. After the event, few people asked me, hey, can I use it at my own event? That thing that you had was really cool. Can I use it at my event? So that was a trigger like, there is a demand, there is an opportunity right there. So pivoting at that point from WWE to Esstart was like, I'm going to be a father for the first time. And it may not be the right thing to do. And then, my son and my daughter grew up, and now she is in the school. And this was the perfect time where like, I've been waiting, and she got into the first grade. Now she is independent. And I'm like, yes, it is now or never. So really made the jump. So at WWE, I gave a notice. They said, you've been here for 15 years. Can you give us a month more? I said, sure, no problem. Then it was a switch to Esstart, fully committed.
All in, totally all in. Well, the Instant Spotlight, it makes total sense. And I think I've seen it in action or seen your demos, and I can't remember. Did you actually do a HAYVN Hatch where you pitched it? I feel like that might have been where I learned about it. Did you do a HAYVN Hatch at one point?
I did. HAYVN has provided such an amazing platform, such a vibrant, amazing community. Everyone is there. So product testing, our product launches, a lot of those have happened at HAYVN.
I love that. And as well as just getting your company story together, right? In terms of getting ready for market and asking those questions.
Yes. So HAYVN Hatch has helped us a lot.
That's amazing. So Instant Spotlight is out. It's launched. It's your first sort of product for the platform.
Yeah.
Share with us a little more about what's going on or what you're now seeing is the next sort of product or the next development or what you're seeing, the next hole in the market that you're looking to fill.
So in a couple of months, we've been working on our second product. So Esstart is a platform offering many products. Our second product is going to be Storybook. While Instant Spotlight is built for larger events, weddings, galas, where you have more than 100 people, then you have enough content for things to go on the big screen. Storybook, the idea of Storybook is quite different from what Instant Spotlight does. Storybook is built for slow-paced, laid-back event with fewer crowd. Under 100 is the crowd. And the idea is you're celebrating somebody's milestone occasion, and that could be an anniversary, birthday. And when you go to a milestone anniversary, and I'll pick an example of a 50th birthday, and easy to understand. So at 50th birthday, you want to share, the guests also want to hear that story. The host want to share that story, which is through photos, through quizzes, through videos, everything that has happened till that milestone. And those are the juicy stories. So that is what Storybook enables you to do. Share those stories with photos, videos, quizzes. And those quizzes could be funny, could be interesting. And the most important feature in Storybook is a message wall. Remember those guest books, old days we would have that? That's what it is. So it is everything built into one single experience. Starts the same way. You scan a QR code and that experience opens up. And you go through somebody's life journey, celebrating that milestone.
You're giving me a lot of ideas, CP. I'm kind of getting excited.
Thank you.
I'm also thinking back to, a long time ago when my husband and I got married, and our friend surprised us with a video. But back then, you literally had to stand over a picture to take a picture of it or video. I mean, it's just amazing now how much easier it is to kind of, as you said, it's more actually being able to find those stories or find those images to bring them to life. But for those that have them, it's so meaningful. And I'm sure it just provides a whole nother layer of richness and meaning to the events. How has technology kept you on your toes? How do you have to stay ahead of the curve so that your technology doesn't become obsolete? Are you, is that just by nature something you do, or like apps have to be upgraded? How do you keep up with technology?
Yeah, so my journey so far has always been learning. So by education, I am an accountant. By work, I've always been in technology. And by passion, I've been in events. So all of these switches come through only one thing, which is learning and keeping yourself up to date. So I enjoy updating. What we also do at Esstart is our team is built of talent that is coming out of college. The team is young. So when I bring that events experience, they bring in that latest and technology and trends into the business. And that's how we're balancing both the ends of the spectrum and keeping ourselves up to date.
That makes total sense, because I find as somebody who has social media and part of her description, I've had to say, okay, I can go general, but I can't go deep. I can stay a little ahead of the curve, but staying way ahead of the curve and being in front of everything is very difficult. So I love your model of being the sage and wise experienced learner, as well as bringing in people who have that technology at their fingertips.
Yeah.
CP, tell us more about, in terms of, we've talked a little bit about, I think, more individual events. Can you give us some examples of like classic clients or classic people for, who these products are for? Are they also for corporations and businesses, or is it much more of a personal product and platform?
So every product, our vision is to create products and each one solving an individual problem, an individual need, right? That's how we are creating. Each product has its own appeal. As I said, like you just heard about Storybook. It's great for like a milestone, may not be great for a gala event, but Instant Spotlight has a big appeal towards the corporate market and the galas, even individual events. So each product, how we are looking at it is there is a problem, and how do we gamify that problem? And we create experience around it.
I love that. Sorry, I'm taking notes. I was like, I love that quote. How do we gamify the experience? You can tell I love events. That's perfect. Well, CP, we talked a little bit about the HAYVN Hatch, but I know that you've been a regular at HAYVN for quite some time, and you're part of the community there. We've talked about the Hatch, but how has your experience or your time as part of the HAYVN community contributed to sort of your growth as a business person and an entrepreneur?
When I was ready to leave WWE and make the switch, and I'm going back into some stories here. So it was like just right out of the COVID times. At WWE, I had a big team. I was always in a large group, so had a lot of people around me. So the first thing that I thought was, hey, let's try to find a co-working space. So I looked around in our area and I went to a few, walked into HAYVN, did not know. Of course, at that time, HAYVN was really focused on women. I was the early gender diversity individual.
We're women-centered, but we're not women only.
Yes. I was looking around and HAYVN just, popped up. I didn't understand it. Is it a co-working space or not? But came by. I walked in through the doors and I was like, what a vibe. This is exactly what I'm looking for. The staff was very welcoming. Everyone around there was very warm and welcoming. And you know how Felicia gives people a tour of the place and, she's introducing. That creates, that already created a bonding experience, even as a visitor or a prospect. So it was, you walk in and you feel like really warm welcome. The colors and the ambience, everything has a warm vibe. So my thing was, I wanted to make sure that find a place, find a community where I can work with people, because I've always been for 25 years of work experience, out of which 15 was at WWE, but of 25 years of work experience, I was always surrounded by people. Even during COVID times, I was still like all day long, we had Zoom calls.
Yeah.
With people stacked into those Zoom calls. So I didn't want it to implode and wanted to make sure that there's people around me. So HAYVN, come to HAYVN, get this warm tour, and you're like, I found my next home. So that made the switch. So that is a shout out to Felicia and HAYVN for having such a warm community around it. So that was, to answer your question, that is the community, that is the HAYVN. And that's how we started.
I love it. And then selfishly, I get to talk to great people like you on a regular basis. So that's another perk for the HAYVN community. CP, if people aren't actually sitting at HAYVN or wandering around HAYVN where they might run into you or bump into you, where's the best place for them to connect with you and learn more about Esstart?
So to learn more about Esstart, go to our website, esstart.com, spelled as ESSTART, esstart.com. to connect with us, Instagram at Esstart HQ. That is our handle, and follow us, connect with us. We are constantly posting and about our product, what's happening, where it is being used, and a lot of fun stuff. So follow us over there.
I'm going to go follow right now. Thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing your story, CP. This has been a blast. We really appreciate having you on today.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for the opportunity.
And that's another episode of the HAYVN Hubcast. Please give us a review if you haven't, or share this with somebody you think might be interested. That's it for now.
Thanks for listening to the HAYVN Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. HAYVN is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. HAYVN is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the HAYVN community online at hayvn.com. That's HAYVN.com. HAYVN Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.